Well, good morning. I'm still kind of a little bit groggy. I do have some Mickey D's coffee. I didn't have time to make my own this morning. I was up long before the sun, and I have a special treat for you today. So yesterday, I was in St. George, Utah, and at sunrise, I saw these fantastic hot air balloons rising in a valley, climbing high over one of the ridges. So I took off in my car to try to find them. I didn't know where I was going, but I was able to catch up with them just as they were landing. And so I pulled off to the side of the road next to a field where one of the balloons was landing. And one of the crew members yelled up at me, "Hey, come on down if you want to." So I'm like, yeah, sure, of course. And I ran down, and they said they could use an extra hand in pulling the balloon down. So of course I jumped right in, grabbed one of the ropes that is attached to the top of the balloon, and me and two other people start pulling it over. And this thing is heavy. I kind of expected it to be just a real easy pull, but it took a lot of effort to pull the balloon over. And as it pulled over, the hot air was released from the balloon and it eventually collapsed. So I guess I did a good job, because I was speaking with the crew members, laughing and joking and having a good time. And next thing I know, we go out to brunch together, and we're talking about my experience of driving across the country, and they invite me to help crew on the balloon this morning, today. So I'm here at Stahili Farm in St. George, Utah. Let's see, it's just right at 7 a.m. and I'm going to be meeting them, helping them prep the balloon, and then hopefully, I'm going to help crew on the balloon today. So I'm going to take you with me. Okay, so what we're doing right now is we're doing a cold inflation on the envelope. So the part that actually holds the air, I've always called that just the balloon, but that's actually called the envelope. So we're doing a cold inflation with a giant fan, filling the envelope full of air, and then once we stand the basket up, then we'll ignite the igniters, the flamethrowers, whatever they're called, and that will heat the air, and then the balloon will rise. Okay, I have to get back to work now. I have no idea really what I'm doing, but I'm trying to be as helpful as possible.
Little safety briefing in here.
Okay, don't jump out.
Here we go. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hear burners above me.
No, it's Scott that you hear. There's 9 of us up here, and I have eyes on everyone. flight.
1 hour to the minute.
That was a really fun flight. Good.
Yeah, these more down. Plop it right there. Perfect. Dominique and I will do our thing here. Use the master throat closer. Dustbuster. I'm just gonna start squeezing, and I'll let you have a hold of it here in a minute. So you can see how much fun this is. Now the work. Yeah, we were super happy when you came over yesterday. I was telling people, come take a look. I Tom Sawyer everybody I can. You ever put a balloon away? Facial.
Yeah, so that was absolutely fascinating learning about the mechanics of how a balloon flies. Everywhere from the initial setup and getting the balloon filled with cold air and then warming up that cold air, and then learning about the buoyancy factors that allow the balloon to lift into the sky, FAA regulations that deal specifically with balloon flight, and then the crew work needed to bring the balloon back down safely to land, wrapping everything up and then putting it back on the truck. I'll leave a link to the crew's website in the description below. Aha! All right, I have made my way out into, where am I? I don't even know where I am. Hurricane Cliffs, just outside of St. George, Utah. And it was fairly populated, this section, but I was able to find this pretty terrific campsite that's completely away from everyone. There's no one within sight of me, so I'm pretty pleased about that. But after all of that work today, so much work, it was actually a lot of effort to get the balloon launched and then bringing it down. It's kind of no joke. It took the whole team, 6 of us, working to bring the balloon down and deflate the envelope, tilt over the basket, get everything disassembled and loaded onto the truck. So I'm hungry. Stopped by the grocery store and I have a good dinner planned for tonight. So there was a special on T-bone steaks, and that's kind of a splurge for me. I don't generally eat that much red meat, but tonight I'm going to. I have a red bell pepper. I'm going to roast the bell pepper. I can't really eat green bell peppers. They just don't agree with me. And I'm going to broast some red potatoes. Oops. I'm going to broast some red potatoes. I'll show you how to do that. And I have a big mess of green beans here. They came from the deli at Albertsons, and they are choice. All right, so they're going to be great. Water is on the boil, and I'm going to do the potatoes first, and then I'm going to roast them in my skillet. All right, so let's see how the water looks. Oh, it's starting to get steamy. All right, so that will be ready to go in just a few minutes. I'm going to prep the potatoes and the green beans first. Okay, so the potatoes are boiled and they are al dente right now. They're almost ready to eat. I've tested them with a fork, or let's see, with a knife here, and yep, they're just a little bit still solid. So that will allow me to cook them a little further. So I didn't have a basting brush, but I do have. I have had a spare $1 toothbrush, so I'm going to use this as a basting brush instead of worrying about trying to do it with a basting brush that I don't have. So I have some decent olive oil, Pompeian extra virgin olive oil, robust. Okay, for salads and marinades, but it's going to do just fine for what I want to do here. So I'm going to pour some on this toothbrush, and then I'm just going to get a light coating on each piece of potato. All right. Now here's a secret when you're cooking steak. I've cooked this to rare, or just below rare. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it to one side. I'm going to set it to one side and let it rest. And that will, I don't know what resting does, but it allows for the juices to exude, and then we will finish cooking it in about 5 minutes. So that's going to rest. And while that's resting, I'm going to roast the potatoes. So dinner is almost cooked and ready. I'm just finishing the second batch of potatoes. And look behind me. The sun is setting on such a glorious day. I was up this morning at about 5:30. I wanted to be to the airfield in plenty of time so that I could help launch the balloon. Something that I've always learned is if you're early, you can't be late. And I think that's wise words for anyone, because there's nothing more frustrating than someone who shows up late, because it kind of shows a disrespect. Okay, look at this mound of food I'm tucking in to this dinner. The green beans are wonderful. The steak was cooked just perfectly. I recommend that anytime you cook a steak, whether it's on a grill or on a pan-fried steak like what I'm doing here, let it rest for a few minutes during the cooking process, and that just lets the juices mingle into the meat. And even the red peppers are good. And the potatoes, pretty good, but they're actually better in an oven, but not bad for being out in the wilderness. I have a paper plate tucked inside an ultimate disc. So for anyone who plays ultimate, or some people call it ultimate frisbee, a multi-use piece of plastic. And it's been a long day. The sun has set, the moon is still high in the sky, and I'm going to enjoy my dinner, and then I'm looking forward to a good night's sleep. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.